take you home with me. I don't get what you're saying, all of these games you're playing. Can't bother reading your message, no I'm not here for your show, wasn't asking. But I've been quitting what you're taking, I've been sipping cause I'm making no regrets, I'm not assistant, just go and be what you were, I'm not missing you, yeah. I'm fucking down with all this shit you told me, just regretting that I met you, damn you hold me down. All my fortune's just been wasted, all gone. Oh, you made me feel alone. You thought there's a cure, I went and let you be. Now I know for sure I don't wanna take you home with me. I don't wanna take you home with me.
Don't play with my heart. Just let me go. Please let me go. You like to love so hard and then you throw it away. You like to open skies and then you blame it on me. You're someone I can never be with. You joke about my flaws and weaknesses. Why'd you love so hard and then just throw it away? You opened up my heart and just to close it on me. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me. So don't you blame it on me. You never knew how bad it was. Guess you never really cared because you said your parents never gave you hugs, and as a child you were never loved. But you made me love so hard, but then you threw it away. You like to open skies and then you blame it on me. You're someone I can never be with. You joke about my flaws and weaknesses. Why'd you love so hard and then just throw it away? You opened up my heart and just to close it on me. Don't blame it on me. Don't you blame it on me. Yeah. You like to open skies. You open all my scars and then you blame it on me. You're someone I can never be with. You joke about my flaws and weaknesses. So don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me. Don't blame it on me.
I like the city, but I am tired of the same people, of the same things. I want to escape now to another place now, but with you 'cause I don't want to be alone. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy. Wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Stop the time, 'cause I wanna freeze this moment, make it mine, hold you close. Now my heart's wide open. When I'm with you, suddenly I feel no pain. Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away? Do you make it? Do you make it go away?
Hello, thank you for being patient, of course, everyone. Welcome to week 5 of Learner Drivers. What a weekend we've just had. You've all, I'm sure, been in the loop and we're enjoying watching this past weekend. We are, of course, joined by Psycho in place of KJ. Thank goodness. Again, thank you, Psycho, for stepping in. But we're not going to come to you first because the first thing we've got to talk about from the Swiss is one of this man's favourite teams, New Alec. What happened to Aalborg?
They were nearly good, and then they just weren't quite.
Right. So, it honestly pretty much just says how depressing it was because they were nearly good. They were really close to being good, and they accidentally lost 3 game 5s.
I do that feels as well. Like, it's still a descriptor, even though it was like closer for Aalborg. That's still a descriptor. Like, honestly, I think you could talk about Kiel and say the exact same thing. They were nearly good. They kind of weren't. They made it, but like, I don't know if I look at that Kiel performance and I'm like, they were good.
But they did make it, critically.
Yeah, they did make
Ultimately, it only matters. Like 8 teams that made it out of Swiss. Obviously, Hamburg did go unbeaten. We know they had the scare. Lisbon, unbeaten. Very proud of them. But Kiel and Amsterdam, those supposed lock 4s going all the way to Series 5, was terrifying. But also Aalborg losing 3 game 5s as their 3 series losses was... Yeah, it was pretty painful.
Dortmund performance, I mean, what can you say? It's tough.
Well, of the 33 series in the Swiss stage of the UR main event, there was just 3 sweeps. Only 3 sweeps. 15 of the series,
ridiculous.
guys, went to game 5. Nearly half the series. And of those, half were reverse sweeps. There were 7 reverse sweeps in the Swiss stage. And of course, Aalborg were the only team to get reverse swept twice. Those being
Rough.
against UEA and Amsterdam in the final series, where Amsterdam literally 2-0 down. JLT agrees to sub out for Cass, and then they reverse sweep. It was kind of Giga Brain by Amsterdam, which, to be fair, there was a few sub situations going on.
We have to take some of the predictions. I'm getting my excuses out of the way early with a grain of salt because there was a lot of substitutions. You know, Exeter didn't have Misery, and Kit were playing with a sub. They didn't have Loris Raptor. It was a tough week for a lot of these teams, and Loris Raptor had to go and play volleyball. I mean, you know, not committed to the Rocket League grind, being outside and not even touching grass, going and touching volleyball court instead. Just ridiculous.
Horrible behaviour, honestly. It's awful. It's awful. At least I know that Loris is actually quite good at volleyball, so he has every reason not to play.
Like, at least I know Loris is quite good at Rocket League, so maybe he's allowed. He can touch a little grass as a treat for being good at Rocket League.
The thing is, if I was the person doing the grass touching, I would have no excuse. There is no good reason why I shouldn't be in my room holding a controller for 4 hours straight. No good reason.
That's good logic.
Yeah.
I mean, I just want to pick out, like, have us each pick out a series, because there's too much to talk about, right? Like, this entire Swiss event, everyone's got bits and pieces they enjoyed, bits and pieces they didn't. I don't even know. For me, there's so many standout series. There's a couple we didn't see as well, to think of the reverse sweep of Hamburg over UEA. I think UEA were 2-0 up on the seemingly unbeatable team at times. I don't even know what series excited me the most. I think if I had to pick out one, I'd actually go for Doran's Boxfish beating Berlin Phoenix 3-1, because that's their first, that's Berlin's first real loss of this season, and it came against a Boxfish side which, in terms of seeding, hold our hands up, in the sense, myself included, like they were doubted based on their qualification, but what a showing for Boxfish it was.
It's a ludicrous showing, to be honest with you. And I think of all those sort of results, just anybody who's a fan of the university scene and actually is keeping in touch with it as well, I think that's the obvious result that stands out, not just because it's Berlin, but also just because of sort of the difference in how we had the perceived quality of those two teams. I just think that's the biggest shock, really, of them all. And I think there was loads of exciting series in terms of the Game 5s that you mentioned. There was just so many. The reverse sweeps, all 7 of them. I think us two, when we were covering those games, I think we had about 3 or 4. It was utterly ridiculous.
Yeah.
And, it was great.
I still
awesome.
cannot get past the psychic damage that I was caused when I found out that Hamburg had to reverse sweep UEA.
Yeah.
Just hearing that sentence, I was not prepared for that. Like, when it just hit me, and I genuinely still haven't quite gotten past it.
I don't know. I feel like it is Hamburg themselves are probably trying to put it 2 and 2 together in terms of how that actually happened. But UEA, if there was any team to do that, it does not surprise me that it was UEA. I think we can talk about the surprisement of UEA making it indeed, but maybe it would be better if we just ignore the fact that it happened and instead talk about Lisbon going 3-0, beating both Dorans, of course, Boxfish in a reverse sweep, and Hanover 3-1 as well. Of course, we'll have Hunuru on later, but I don't know about you guys. I thought this team was good, but I didn't think they were going to go 3-0.
Oh, and I think credit to them. Like, they beat Boxfish, who were coming fresh off of beating Berlin Phoenix. Like, this was Boxfish who were definitely feeling themselves at the time. And I think that's reflected in the fact it went to the full 5 games, and then just reflects even better on Lisbon that they managed to bring it to those 5 games and win it. This was not a Boxfish that came in and rolled over. As you said, we were surprised by the quality of them. Lisbon, they had to run the Doran's gauntlet. They played both teams on their way there, and they proved themselves on that stage. And I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do in the playoffs as a result.
Yeah, I 100% have to agree, but I also think IUL's run as well was slightly favourable to them. I think the two Doran's teams, even though they did perform very well, especially Boxfish with the likes of that win against Berlin Phoenix, which was absolutely ludicrous, and also, getting to a Game 5 against IUL as well is quite the feat, but still, I think that run was a little easier than some of the other teams there. And if I do look at the likes of UEA, for example, and who they had to play, sort of Aalborg, they had Dr. Burmans, they had Hamburg, they had the whole shebang of just top quality teams. And in terms of the seeding department, I think IUL, obviously they did a great job, but they had some slightly easier inverted commas matchups.
Yeah. Okay. Let's. Sorry, no. I was just going to say let's go down the disappointment train.
Sure. I just want to point out that for IUL, that if they do manage to win their quarterfinal, they're guaranteed a rematch in the semi-final of one of the teams they beat on the way there. They will have to replay the team from Hanover, or it'll be Doran's Boxfish again. And either way, that's a semi-final that'd be worth keeping your eyes on. Or Amsterdam manage to return to form and start climbing back up that playoffs ladder.
It is,
and then they need to
difficult.
prove that they can do it against the team that Lisbon beat. So either way.
Yeah, it's like, who even is the favourite in that with Amsterdam as well? That's possibly my favourite quarterfinal. I'm not sure. The UEA Berlin is exciting too. We'll talk about the playoffs, of course, later and with our guests as well, but I'm curious what chat thinks about it. In terms of the disappointment train, they may have made it to playoffs, but I want to ask what you guys thought happened with Kiel, because they were a nail-on for all of us, and they did make playoffs, but they walked into the Swiss and got 3-0 bounced by Aalborg.
I don't have good answers. This is psycho.
It was nearly a shutout as well. They didn't score till game 3.
Yeah. So they almost got perfect swept by Aalborg, and I think that in itself, as a sort of a first round result, is the worst imaginable result for them. It literally doesn't get any worse. And then after that, they ran into Amsterdam, who still had their sub. They didn't have the full roster. Ventsi was missing. And of course, they really struggled there as well, and they lost it in Game 5. That should have been a game that they won, for sure, at least in my mind. But the most shocking result out of all of that is running into Exeter with a sub and only taking them in Game 5. And to me...
Nearly getting reverse swept. That was a reverse sweep cancelled as well.
To me, that is the biggest worry of the bunch, to be honest with you. Because Exeter, I would comfortably place towards the bottom of the pack with that lineup. And I think they must have been really digging in their own heads to have that sort of a showing.
And I was talking at the end of that day, like, you know, that was a big win to manage to scrape through, to at least give yourself the chance to go away at night. Because that got them day 2. If they hadn't won that series, they're just out. Day 1, done. Bang, you've had a bad day and you're gone. It gave them the chance to go away and maybe reset the mental a little bit. But I didn't really I'm not convinced they managed to do that for day 2. You know, it was still Game 5 against Engine Stuttgart in that last round to make it through. And I mean, you know, by the time you get there, everyone's just fighting for it. But, like, you still expect Kiel to dismantle Engine Stuttgart when it comes to, you know, a good day versus a good day.
I mean, credit to Engines. I was happy with their performances in general, but yeah, Kiel. I from what I gather, they have far less time to practice this year. I just didn't think it would show that bad, like that instantaneously. If there's any match that will recharge them, though, it is coming as underdogs against Hamburg. But I don't know. From a UK standpoint, it's kind of sad for us as well. With Roehampton not making it, though, I personally wouldn't see them on the disappointment train. They lost to 3 teams that all made it in Amsterdam, Hamburg, and Hanover. And sure, we still think maybe they could be even better, but you know, they're right next to Aalborg. Like, they don't look bad at all in terms of the fashion of which they missed out.
Could be an awful lot worse for them as well, though.
Yeah.
It could be worse, but I also think Roehampton, even looking at how difficult their run was, losing to 3 teams that did make it, I would still be looking for them to take one of them. I'm not sure which of the 3, because they're all strong teams, but I think just the nature of this game and its consistencies, I think there is a likelihood they could have taken one of them. I would have had my money on Amsterdam, because again, the whole full roster situation, it wasn't there for them. Didn't take that, and also the Hanover side as well. It's a possibility.
This is don't be sad because it's over. Be bitterly disappointed in the way that it happened.
No, that's the case for Pesto, for Genoa, I think.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, wildcard champions. Yeah. Baris Shuffleverson sounds good. Going out 0-3. I mean, 2 of those were Game 5, but to be reverse swept out in the elimination match against Twente, that's.
I think especially with how they were how at least I was comparing them to Lisbon, and I think there has to be parallels drawn between it, given how they came in through the qualifiers. Both of them qualified through the upper bracket of the same qualifier, having played in both of the previous ones. Both of them coming from countries that historically have struggled to make a mark on this European stage, finally getting a chance to do it, and Lisbon go 3-0 and Genoa go 0-3. And just have completely different first forays into this international competition. And like you say, I think it was hyping them up, but the other comparison that was occurring to me was, you know, a lot of these teams that did have to go through in qualifier 3 and 4 looked a lot stronger, and this was something we'd said might happen. The teams that had to play more Rocket League over the last month came in and looked really good against the teams that had gotten through in qualifier 1 and 2 and been taking it easy ever since. And Genoa are one of those teams from qualifier 3 and 4, and while every other team that did that was having a good time, having fun performing, Genoa just didn't seem to have plugged their control. They just didn't look great. They just didn't look on the same page.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate. It's tough to know what we could have expected, what we could have predicted. Psycho, what we're about to come on to, the talent choices. Yep. What do you think you'd have predicted? From your heart. I mean, you can read this as much as you want, because here we will assess what our talent did indeed predict would have happened. Who predicted Genoa making top 8? Well, Mukt did, and actually so did Galgan. So I feel like maybe they found themselves in a bit of a tough spot. This, of course, is the initial tweet sent out by Uni Rocketeers, where I'm just going to defend me and Galgan. We didn't know about the Exeter roster situation. We both have the.
What about the kit roster situation?
It's okay. I have a version of this image that producer Finchy can bring up where I get to cheat in the sense that my actual top 8 predictions, when the bracket sheet was released, I actually got 7 out of 8. I mean.
I love the quick change in the graphic there as well. Just to really sort of bolster your own confidence in self. You know, like
I was
you know what.
You know,
I had to get right 7 out of 8. Bosh.
KJ was angry that no one predicted UEA, and he didn't actually know that I had predicted UEA. And you can see I was the only one for good reason.
Okay. Yeah. So I've just quickly typed in the top 8 that I was hyping up the most. And I'm going to try and reel through them as quickly as I can. So the top 4 is obvious, all right? My top 4 was exactly the same as everyone else's top 4, bar UEA, because I'm not absolutely nuts. After that, I had ISCTE, IUL, Pesto, UEA, and Exeter as the other 4. So Exeter, I had high expectations for. I still think if they had main roster, it's a dangerous comment. I think if they had full roster, they would have made top 8. Quite dangerous. There you go. Pesto, I thought was going to make it without a shadow of a doubt as well. They were sort of a dark horse, and UEA was just, let's throw them in. So, there you go.
I mean, I respect the Exeter take. You got to remember that as impressed as we were with Boxfish, they went to Game 5 with Exeter with a sub in the very first round of Swiss. And that's kind of what I was confident in Exeter as well. I got to say, I think they'd have won that full roster.
There were so many Game 5s where one of the teams had a sub. Like, I'm looking down the roster, or I'm looking down the list of, kits matches as well. And, like, they lose to Hanover in Game 5. They win in Game 5 against Twente. But also, even their first round match where they lost 3-1 to Roehampton, and you're like, maybe with full roster. Like, there's a lot of the results down the board that definitely could be swung. I'm just going to get a second excuse out of the way while I have this floor, while everyone's listening to me. I didn't know that I was meant to be giving the teams in order when I gave my predictions, which sure, real dumb, but I was very tired. And so I did just kind of rattle off the top 4. I was like, Hamburg, Berlin, Kiel, Amsterdam, right? And then I was like, I don't know, Kit usually surprise people, and like, I do like Aalborg, they're pretty good, and Genoa have been kind of impressing, and then I have to throw a second UK team in there. I get Roehampton are all right, sure. Yeah, that's how you reach my top 8. And I'm like, you know what?
Yeah, it's reasonable with Kid. I feel like Roehampton. The only other person to put Roehampton was Markfish, and in that case, you're in bad company. It was not a good prediction from that. It was not. It was not ideal. I mean, I don't know about Dennis, but in Twente, in fairness, maybe there's a universe where they do make it, but that seems like some Dutch copium to me.
Yeah, I think it's quite comfortable for most people to say, like, the teams that would be fighting for top 6. As soon as you look at 7 and 8, it's like there's the biggest mishmash of any team from, like, say, 8th down to about 16th or even 20th on paper. I think it's absolutely ridiculous because there's no team that is consistently proving that they should be inside that top 8 in terms of the 7 and 8 spot. So I have absolutely no idea what would go there. I just picked for what my heart said, really. That's about it.
Unironically, there's probably like 3 or 4 teams who didn't make top 16 who you'd still be like, yeah, they could have made top 8.
Dortmund's situation. I mean, we might even get a good chance to talk about Dortmund because our first guest on the podcast tonight, of course, is a former UED player. It's System 03, who we're going to drag in here against his will. We're going to take the bag off his head as well and everything. And we're going to interview him literally like it's a press room. Definitely not so that we can use maybe some of the questions or some of his answers this weekend or anything. But I'm excited to talk to him because he was excited to be questioned on this as well. He was excited to be involved. So if we have him, as I will just simply look for him, being dragged in, we do indeed have become officially joined by System. And as I say, System, it's lovely to see you. We will be nice. We'll have a great time together, but not until we've effectively grilled you with intense questions. So first of all, tell us about your experience in the Swiss stage this UR Winter past weekend.
Swiss stage overall, I think was nice. They were very, very great series. I think many game 5s also for us. And of course, the losses to Lisbon, I think, and UEA were painful. Like, those were game fives, and we lost them. Oh, my bad. Lisbon was, I think, game four. But yeah, we didn't think that. Oh my god.
Yeah, I'm thinking of the series against Lisbon was 3-1. If I think back over the results, you bullied poor Genoa, who wouldn't go on to win a single series in the Swiss. Then you lost 3-1 to Lisbon, but then you bounced back with a game 5 win over Kit, then a game 5 loss to UEA, and then a game 5 win over Roehampton as well. I mean, for me, the final series stood out to me as maybe particularly stressful.
Yeah, Roehampton game was really stressful because we already lost like 2 games, and we lost on the same day against UEA in game 5. And I was thinking like, oh, not again. But as soon as this thought came up, I just thought that I need to calm down, and I think we played pretty decent against Roehampton, and they also played good. Like it was a good series. Both teams played pretty well.
Sure. Having to calm down in the middle of the series, team environment is very important at that point as well. So can you tell us a little bit, what's it like joining Hanover this year? How have you been finding your teammates?
Like, first of all, we all students, except for one, NKS,
Great
is not playing in what?
I was going to say, for Collegiate Rocket League, great start that you're all students.
Yeah, of course. But we all came from different places in Germany. Like, I'm from North Rhine-Westphalia, and Jesse, for example, is from Bremen. And it's crazy that all those players, and me included, live together now and going to the same university, and getting supported by the school and academy of Dr. Wuman. And yeah, like, the team environmental is pretty decent because we also do activities out of school, like we go to a soccer hall and play some football, or we have planned to go together into a football club, just for fun, but to do something together and get the chemistry right. Yeah.
That's actually kind of cool. I wanna hold a question now that you made me think of something. But first, I wanna tread a little bit sad through memory lane system here. I wanna say, do you feel bad at all for your former team in Dortmund, given how close they got to qualifying, losing them 3 qualification series?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I'm still in contact with them, and of course we're still friends and everything, and we occasionally talk in Discord about Uni Rocket League stuff. And it's pain because they domestically in Uniliga they dominate. They haven't lost a single series. They even won against Hamburg. I mean, they played with Nex, Hartmann and MJ, but Hamburg were still the favorites, and they won the series. And for me, it's pain that they didn't qualify, but I'm 100% sure that we will see them in spring.
Yeah, and I think that's very much telling of the depth of German collegiate competition as well. So I was curious to know, are Germany the strongest country in EU Rocket League for the collegiate side of things at the moment?
In my opinion, right now, definitely yes. We have 3 teams in the top 8 of this event, and Engines Stuttgart were also in the main event, and KIT. But even if we doesn't look at these main event teams, there are so many, or not that many, but there are a few more Rocket League teams like Dortmund. We already talked about it, Düsseldorf and Osnabrück. Osnabrück also played last year ERC. And these teams are still good, but they just haven't made it into this main event. But yeah, I also think that actually 3 German teams will proceed to the semifinals. and it would be insane to have 3 German teams among the top 4.
Yeah, that's a scary perspective. I feel like for the lads from the UK as well, I just want to extend on that question system, because I know a lot of maybe the Copium, I'm not sure what do you think it is. A lot of the people in the UK would say the NSC in the UK league has better depth than Uniliga and the German league. I don't know if you don't think that's true, or maybe you think there's teams overrated, or maybe teams from the Netherlands as well, being that other major third country.
I would say this season UK doesn't have anymore the depth above Germany, because Uniliga has now 18 teams instead of 12, and also this season there were so many better teams coming into the league, like Tommy, another Div 1 player, plays in the league now. Mio, another Div 1 player also, Nitro League Div 1. But like the people are coming into the Uni League, and they perform, and they play good. And in UK, I think UK has still more depth than Netherlands. But I think in UK and the Netherlands, the top teams have basically the equal quality. But UK has more depth. And by the Italian or Portuguese teams, I don't know. I just know the main event teams.
No, that's fair. I like that. In terms of, well, you mentioned that 3 German teams could be in the semi-finals, and I could definitely see that happening as well. But in particular, your first series, your upcoming series against Doran's Boxfish, how do you feel about that? And if you can win it, how far do you think you can go?
Actually pretty confident. Like, actually really confident that we can beat them. Or that we beat them. I mean, we have Psy, who's in my opinion by far the most mechanical player in this tournament. And I think that only a few people would disagree with that. He has, in my opinion, also the highest 1v3 potential. And Zedo has... He's less flashy than Psy, of course, and less mechanical, but he has so much experience. And he's doing little advices throughout the series. And it's basically... It comes and forth with me. If I do my job correctly, I think we can beat any team.
Okay. No, I like that. That's a good answer. I think we can chill now, because that's pretty much all of our serious question systems. So I hope you enjoy it. I mean, for me, straight off the bat, more casually speaking, I just want to chat to you about the switch between like keyboard and controller, because that seems to be such a fun thing going on through qualifiers and the main event as well. Like it was back and forth. It seemed difficult.
I made the decision like 2.5 months ago, I think. Like to switch to controller, to try it. If it's worth. For me, it wasn't. I can say that straightforward. After all those hours, it's not worth it to switch. But in Qualifier 1, German, in Qualifier 1, I played with controller. I was not confident at all. Like, I've never played in a competitive scenario with controller before. This was actually my first time. And I was super nervous. Didn't play good at all. In the second qualifier, I also played with controller. Then we lost the upper bracket final against Exeter, I think.
Yeah, check that.
And then we dropped to the lower final against Lisbon, and I talked with my teammates, and we decided to that I should switch to KBM after not playing it for 2 months. But it kind of worked out, and like there was instantly better team chemistry, and we made plays together as a team instead of just Zedo and Psy doing their stuff.
Yeah, and I think especially when I heard about that story of you sort of switching between the two ideas. I think the one problem for me isn't necessarily how sort of competent you can be on a controller or a keyboard, but how that might affect your confidence, especially. So even if there's like that 2-month gap, I can imagine it's quite hard to jump back on the keyboard and feel security. But I definitely think, and of course I don't want to speak for you, that is probably where you can find the most comfort, maybe.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I as soon as I started playing on KBM again, I gained confidence again. Like, the first days, or the first week, actually, it wasn't that quick that I gained my confidence back, like 2 or 3, 4 months ago. But after a week or so, or like since before yesterday, I'm gaining my confidence back, and it feels insane. Every time I play ranked, or I mean, ranked doesn't really count as a competitive player, but I was actually with controller 1700 hard stuck, and now I'm playing with KBM again and skyrocketing again, and it feels amazing. Actually, yeah.
Actually, like when people deliberately play slow-mo before games in order to feel fast when they go in game. It's like fully placeboed.
Yeah.
It's good, actually.
There's got to be some of that confidence though as well, where you just, even when you're playing with the controller, you just put yourself in the wrong place sometimes because you don't feel confident moving. You know where the right place is. Mentally, you still know where you should be on the pitch, but not trusting yourself to hit the ball when you get there, it becomes harder to just put yourself in the right place.
Yeah, and also, like a thing with confidence was like in the first qualifiers, or even in 1 or 2 main event matches. It was like I wanted to play perfectly for Zedum side, but with my current skill, it's not possible to do always the optimal touch, and I started vibing again, like in the game.
Yeah.
Instead of thinking about what is the perfect decision to make, and it just feels way better again.
Yeah.
If it helps, I've never made the optimal touch in a single game of Rocket League. So.
Same.
I think we know that. No, we know that. It's actually interesting.
Yeah.
It's interesting, sister. You mentioned that because Subson had actually submitted a question he wanted to have to ask you on that matter in terms of what it's like teaming with Zedo and Sai, in terms of like the expectation to perform, especially as well given the scholarship. And the fact you're there at Dr. Bowman's, and what the team environment's like, and how much pressure you feel like there is on you to perform.
I think I'm kinda in the same spot as Quint was when he played for Berlin alongside Tigre and Knack. It's basically the same environment, and it's kind of difficult sometimes because if you lose a game, it's always a bit in your head that it's your fault. And if you win a game, it's not always like, oh, I did something for that. But taking those Ws and just playing with more confidence again, I think it goes away with it. And I also thought about the fact that I make pressure by myself for me. Because from outside, like no one of Dr. Booman or my teammates, no one puts pressure on me. Everything is super chill, but for me personally, sometimes the thoughts come that I need to perform, and that's where the pressure comes.
Yeah, I think just from my brief career in competitive Rocket League, there's been loads of times where I've been on a team and I think I am by far the weakest player on this team, and that's such a difficult thing to deal with, of course. But I think what you mentioned is really, really positive. So the fact that you are able to take it a bit more lighthearted, you can chill, you can vibe, you can have a good time with your mates, pretty much, that is such an important factor to letting you play with a bit more freedom, how you'd like to perform, because ultimately when you're in game, you're not going to be thinking, oh, I'm the worst player on the pitch. It's just about how confident you can be, and I feel that if your team behind you is supporting that, that's fantastic.
Yeah. Also, like, is a complete environment around Dr. Booman. Like, Dr. Booman has, or the head of Dr. Booman, He has pretty good contacts and is the head of esports too. And we can talk to some mental coaches of football clubs like St. Pauli or something. And these chances to have these talks with professional mental coaches and everything is insane. Like, it helps so much.
These issues of maybe trying to perform as a player who feels like you're weaker than your teammates or knows that, like, it's new to esports for a lot of people, and these problems are new to a lot of people in esports, but definitely not new in sports. Like, this has been going on for a very long time. They know what you have to do to get past it.
Yeah, definitely.
I like that you highlighted the cool environment that Dr. Boomans have, though, and that you play football outside the game together.
We want to. We went to some soccer halls before. We also made like a documentation were made of us in Hanover in the environment, and some events like Night for League LAN all was filmed, and we will have our movie debut soon. And I will see it for the first time. It's crazy.
Is there a trailer or something? I want to know who the best at football is as well.
I was going to ask who's the best on the team.
I can ask for that, but I haven't seen it myself yet. It's so exciting to like see it for the first time. But yeah, we went to some soccer halls before, but we want to go into a football club together because Billy, I don't know if you know him, he is our manager. He plays football in Hanover. He's also from here. And he plays in the lowest division of football. And Scream and I, and also Psy, I guess, or I think so, played football in higher leagues before, and we want to like destroy this lowest division.
That's one way to boost your team confidence in
Actually, yeah.
Yeah. Build morale. If ever you have a really, really bad day of Rocket League, just go and absolutely destroy some poor footballers. Someone like me who can run for about 10 minutes, run out of breath, then just fall over, vomit a couple times, and then go on the bench. Sounds good.
Yeah.
That's actually good.
Speaking of the teammates and all of that, and the environment at Hanover, great and all, we kind of do have to go back to your old teammates again, just briefly. And we have a question from GM667. If you do have to play against Dortmund again this year or at any point this year, how are you going to handle playing against them? Have you been keeping in touch with your former teammates at all?
Yeah, like I said before, I'm still in contact with them. I'm still at the university Discord of them, and we're chatting occasionally. And if we play against each other, of course I want to beat them. I think I want to beat them even more than any other opponents, because it's you need to win against your old teammates. It's like a rule.
You have to.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to beat them.
It's just a shame they didn't make it to the main event, so you didn't get a proper chance to. But I think we ragged on them enough about that. But that's okay. I'm happy. I think I've asked everything I wanted to ask so far. We don't want to keep you all night. I don't know if you've got anything you want to ask us, or Psycho knew if there's anything while we still have System here.
I don't have any questions, I think.
No, we're good. Well, thank you so much for coming on to the podcast, System. It's been great having you. Frankly, we wish you the best of luck on Saturday as well. You're confident about the series? I hope you can back it up.
We will.
Okay.
Thanks for having me. Have a nice evening, and thanks for the podcast overall.
Good luck to you.
Thanks.
He does actually sound really confident about that series, that quarterfinals.
Too confident.
I mean,
too confident.
maybe is there? I mean, there is definitely a thing such as too confidence.
I mean, I sort of said that jokingly, but there is sort of such a thing as too much confidence. But genuinely,
There's
he just
even a
sounds.
word for it, guys. It's overconfidence. We
Okay,
can use the word.
Oh my goodness. You're a genius.
No, I'm just saying. Like, I mean, we can keep being like, is there such a thing as too confident? It's like, yeah, no, there's a word for it. We can use words.
I don't think he's overconfident. I think he's just got nerves of steel. He just sounds like it's, he knows the expectation and he's going to get it done. Sounds good to me.
I love that
that's
they're
fair.
sports psychologists, and it's just something in general. I've asked a couple of times, like for these universities offering scholarships and things, what's their infrastructure in place? What are they actually doing behind the scenes? So it's great to hear that they are actually providing the same support systems that they provide to their traditional sports teams in a lot of these universities, that there is those sports psychologists. Hopefully that they're getting them out. Like, it's great to hear they're going and actually doing a bit of exercise, playing football together and stuff as well. Because, like, these are the things that make a difference, you know? Like, mental health in general, very, very important. Hot take. But, you know, just getting people outside to touch grass every once in a while, making sure that your players are staying fit, keeping their reflex times down, it's good. It's important stuff.
Actually, so jealous they get to play football together
Yeah.
as a team. I am a little bit frustrated. We did forget to ask System what his favorite flavor of crisp is.
Oh,
Maybe we'll have to
no.
somehow get him to answer it. But we won't make that mistake with our next guest, because our next guest is ready to come on. You can see it on the overlay here. It's going to be Hunaru from the Institute University of Lisbon. Probably the hottest team on the block. System says Doritos Sweet Chili Pepper, which is fantastic. We can add that to our important spreadsheet and database, because we are now being joined by our guest from, I assume, on location in Portugal. It's Hunaru, the man himself. It's great to have you here. Tell us about the university and how you found XYZ and Leonid at RUL.
First of all, thank you for inviting me here. And to answer your question, earlier this year, I was in a LAN, Portuguese LAN, and I had to play against XYZ, and he asked me from which university I was in. And once I said IUL, he immediately says, "Okay, so help me do some assignments because I need some help."
You even study the same thing. Like, how did you help him?
Yes, some of the assignments are the same, but the others not. But I helped him programming, etc. And about Leonid, right before the first qualifier for the Wildcard League, he messaged me in the Discord. He already knew that I was from IUL through Mr. Crow Diaz. He played the first qualifier with the Nova University, and he asked me, "Okay, do you want to come with me play in the uni scene?" I said, "Yeah, of course." He asked me, "Do you have a third?" And I said, "Yeah, we have a good third. We have XYZ. We have a good chance to make it to CRL if we want to." And that's how I find them. It was a good surprise, to be honest.
I love how that story starts, and it sounds like XYZ is going to be responsible for starting the team. And it's like, no, this man just wants to get through his university coursework. That's fine.
We are very lucky.
I mean, I don't know how much luck there was at this weekend. I mean, tell us about the Swiss stage. You going unbeaten, 3-0.
So for that, I have to say that every team is beatable. Even number, they are definitely the hardest one to beat. But even them in a good day, picking, we can, I guess, beat them. And every team can beat each other, and we knew that. And we were in a good day. And we got the wins, 3-0. That's it. That's nothing too much special about it, to be honest. Obviously, the last game against Doran's Boxfish, we were down to 0 in games against them. We had to reverse sweep them. But even in that situation, we lost the first 2 games. The first one was to warm up because Leonid stopped playing for 1 hour, and when we start playing again, he said immediately, "Okay, I don't know what I'm doing. My fingers doesn't respond at all." So we used the first game, okay, rush everything, just warm up, and let's go to the second game. In the second game, we almost got the win, but I don't know, I don't remember the game that well, but I think we did some 1 or 2 mistakes in the defense, and we suffered the goals. And then, but we knew that it was possible. That's why we reverse sweep them. Simple.
That's, I think, look, you've said you were confident. You were able to take time to warm up mid-series against one of the other teams in main event. You're feeling pretty confident. So, Wildcard League happened yesterday. What happened there? What happened, I guess, then? Did you play badly against Genoa yesterday? Or did Genoa play very badly in the main event for UR? Because, 0-3 while you guys went 3-0.
Okay, first of all, in the Wildcard League, the first place doesn't give us the CRL spot, so
okay,
it's not the same thing. And second, we were playing well in the first 2 games, and we were feeling pretty confident. But then we were in the same page in the first 2 games, and after that, we were absolutely not in the same page. Some of us rotating front posts, then getting demoed because of it, and missing some comms that were important to make them, and that cost us the win. And in Pesto they are good, so I don't know how they got 0-3 in the Swiss bracket, to be honest, because they are pretty good, and I guess they were in a bad day, and we were in a good day. We got the 3-0, and them 0-3. It is what it is.
Life.
It is what it is. That's exactly how it is. And you know what? I really do enjoy the fact that, when we're asking you how did it go yesterday, a lot of players would sort of be very keen to just hit back with, oh, it's just an off day. But in your brain, you've already got some solutions. You've got some ideas that you can work on. And that's a really nice thing when it comes to your team's improvements. But you're a very new team, I think it's fair to say, to the UR scene. You're brand new representatives to Portugal generally. Are there some teams which you already have your eye on as teams that you don't want to be facing, that you like playing against, perhaps?
So we have one special team that we don't like that much to play against, and that is Dr. Pullman. We hate to play against them. We lost against them in the second qualifier, in the game 5, and in that series we lost a game that was important because of 3 goals from Psy. He was literally picking, and we got that in mind for this series in the Swiss stage, but Psy wasn't playing that well in that day, so we didn't need to keep that in mind, and we just played our game, and we were lucky that Psy wasn't in a good day. Zidui is a very good player in the defense system. I guess he fills the hole in that team, but Zido doesn't pick like Psy do, and when Psy is not picking, I guess we can beat them easily.
Yeah, I can remember that qualification series, the game 4, like a 4-minute overtime, then a game 5 overtime as well. You had to come back the very next qualifier, but you got the job done. And speak about trying to get the job done this weekend, your quarterfinal, Hunuru, is against Amsterdam. How confident are you in that? How do you think it's going to
go? We are confident in our play style and how the way we play. And of course, Amsterdam is a very strong team. We saw some of their games, and yeah, they play very well. But like I said in the beginning, every team is beatable, so we have a chance. Let's see how it goes Saturday. I hope I am in a good day. I hope XYZ is in a good day, and Leonid the same. And let's see how it goes.
Our interview done. Can we relax? Deep breaths. Are the cameras off us? Are we safe? Okay,
That's
we're good.
True, actually. Yeah, we didn't actually mention it to we didn't actually mention it to you, Hunuru, that those first few questions we deliberately asked because we might take your answers and use them pre-series on Saturday when you're due to play Amsterdam. I also think I disconnected from Discord midway through the answer. I don't know if that just... Okay.
You hit it well. You joined back within about 5 seconds. I was impressed.
Okay. Phew. I mean, mine just started spinning. I'm like, well, I guess I'm dead. That's unfortunate. But no, it's cool. It's cool. We have some questions, of course, that people sent in. There is interesting. You've actually already talked about one of these teams. Sigmoid wanted to ask, as a newly formed team, given no financial backing, but you've quickly risen through Europe, what your thoughts are on the scholarship teams that have struggled in the Swiss stage. Obviously, Hanover did struggle, but they did make it in. But also Roehampton missed out in 5 series. I don't know if you had the chance to play them.
Scholarship doesn't mean skill, and so.
Cut the tapes there. You know what? If you say anything else, you've just ruined how ice cold that was. That was nice.
It is true. Yeah. It's not
you can't disagree with it. That's the most
it's the truth.
Oh yeah.
In the beginning, I said every team is beatable. I guess everyone can beat each other, and if they are in their day, they beat us. If we are in our day, we beat them. That's how it works, to be honest. I don't know. The scholarship doesn't give any type of skill in the mid game that they are special. No, they are not special. They are like us. So.
That reminded me as well, when you were asked, is there any team that you don't really want to play against or anything, and you started being like, there's one team in particular, they're gonna give us a lot of trouble. I was 100% convinced that it was UEA that was about to come out next. You were just gonna be like, I just don't want to play against UEA, man.
I don't know if you have not played UEA, so you don't know what that experience will be like.
I played against them in qualifier 3, I guess.
Oh, you did. My bad.
3-2 against them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Easy win.
Easy.
4 overtimes. There was 4 overtimes.
It wasn't easy, but we felt we were not panicking against them because they have a very secure playstyle. They just do the basics. There's not a pop-off player on their team, like Psy, so it's
I guess control.
Yeah, it's easy to play against them. I'm not saying that it's easy to win against them, but it's easy to play against.
That's an interesting distinction. I like that. That it's not easy to necessarily win, but it's not that you need to change up the playstyle. You don't need to really think about how you're approaching the game in order to change it. You just need to make sure that you're doing the basics better than they're doing the basics.
Yep, that's it.
Yeah, I had one personal question as well that I was going to throw your direction. I've had some brief experience of sort of Portuguese Rocket League, because going back 4 years or so, I was doing the Iberian League, and I was with Henrique, I believe, and I can't remember the third at the time, but I've sort of seen that scene. Yes, absolutely bang on the money. That's the one, yeah. I even did some scrims with XYZ and Fusion back in the day, but I was wondering if you guys, as a roster, actually had some competitive experience playing in other tournaments, sort of internationally with each other, whether you've sort of had some rivalries between you in other competitions, stuff like that.
So XYZ and Leonid, they once were part of the same team back in the day. At least that's what they told me. And for myself, I've stopped playing Rocket League in 2017, in the earlier 2017, and just came back in the last year. So I'm grinding my ass to be on the same level as them. And I wasn't really part of the community all these years. So what I can tell is XYZ just won 2 or 3 times the Portuguese League in a row. I don't know. He won a LAN against me, and XYZ was in the top Portuguese team for a while with Fusion and Lazy Bear. But Leonid, I guess he went a bit off the game and he's coming back these couple of months. So I don't know that much about them, to be honest. I'm not that OG in the Portuguese community.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough to say, because when I was looking at your roster, you were sort of the fresh face for me. But I think also the pace at which you've clearly developed your skill is ridiculous. Because to add to my question, I wasn't originally supposed to be doing this podcast, by the way. It's actually KJ who was taking my place, so I've ruthlessly kicked him out of the call today. I also said, plus you're very cool, and I liked your musty double yesterday. That comment still stands. That was quite a nice goal. I liked that.
Thank you so much. I do it every time in free play. That's how I do it.
I'm not surprised, honestly. I think IUL have got to be one of the most, if not the most entertaining team to watch in terms of raw quality of goals. I mean, defensive masterclass, it doesn't need to be. We watch UBA when we want to see that. It's just a team that I think a lot of the neutrals really want to see do well. So you got a lot of fans and people backing you. But for you individually, I want to know, especially given last season, it was only UK and German teams that made it to the World Championship. And as you've mentioned, there is one World Championship spot up for grabs early here this weekend. What would it mean to you to put Portugal on that map and to make Worlds, like as a team? Because I know that's the aim, but to actually achieve it.
I don't know. I don't have words if I make it. To be honest, it just unbelievable. To be honest, to all the Portuguese that are supporting us, they are just okay. You're gonna play Saturday. Okay, I'll see it. I'll see it. I'll see it. They are more excited than us to play Saturday, and seeing that, and if we can take the spot, I don't know what will happen. Which feeling I will have in the moment, I don't know. I don't know.
That's fair. I mean, I think as far as most people's predictions go anyway, we'll see you trying to battle for that spot in spring, because Hamburg are most people's lock-in. But after UEA force them to reverse sweep, and after you've said yourself, any team can be anyone, I think that ultimately is the right mentality anyway. You had a lot of competition. I know Frog Drives Car submitted a question in terms of what the skill gap you feel like there is between the best of Europe and the Wildcard League, what it was like competing in there.
So the top 4 from the Wildcard League, I would say it's the same level as any team from the Swiss bracket, part of the top 4 or top 3. Hamburg, Berlin, and Amsterdam. But besides that 3 teams, I guess the top 4 from the Wildcard League can defeat every team from the Swiss stage. So even Roma that didn't make it. In the last game against Pesto, I didn't like them playing, but when I played against them, they were playing well, and I feel they have a chance to beat any team from the Swiss stage too. So
I think it's just so nice to have the diversity of strong teams as well. Like, I mean, it's kind of sad for me when the UK sort of have dropped off a little bit this season, but it's nice to have more unpredictability as well. Just before any last questions from Nura and Psycho, because I forgot to ask System while he was here on broadcast, Minoru. As is tradition, we need to ask all of our guests what their favorite flavor of crisps is to snack on, whether it's like cheese and onion, already salted, or salt and vinegar.
Yeah,
the floor is
onion.
yours. I don't know what your favorite is.
Onion, Pringles, onion. That's 100%.
Not cheese and onion, or just onion Pringles? Do they do that there?
Onion Pringles. Yeah,
onion Pringles.
They do. The green.
The dark green ones. I think they're cheese and onion in the UK.
We don't have these. This is a new
never
edition.
I mean, having been to Portugal many times, I have never seen onion Pringles.
Onion and cream.
Sour cream and onion.
It's sour cream and onion.
Good choice. Good choice.
Good choice. I can sit with that. Yeah.
I actually have one very important question just before we let you go, Hunter, which is how have you had time to get good at Rocket League when you have to spend half of your waking hours catching up with One Piece?
I did a break from watching One Piece to Grand Rocket League.
You took a break?
I've stopped in the 1001 episodes.
Okay, that's reasonable. 1001 is enough, then, you think? I'm never gonna watch that show for that one reason. I'm so sorry.
Why?
It's so long.
It's
Man
over
does not
1,000
sleep.
episodes.
He never
doesn't-
sleeps.
Nah. It's a good thing because it never ends.
Yeah.
I have a
You
new
don't have to
theory,
This in the
actually.
nursing home.
I have a new theory. Everyone who's gotten good at Rocket League is probably a One Piece fan. If you are a One Piece fan, there's a statistically massive probability that you're good at Rocket League just because of the amount of
Let's
dedication
go.
you need. So, yeah, you're one of many. You're one of many.
It's just a mindset, that grind mindset that lets you finish One Piece off and
Yep.
makes you good at Rocket League. Honestly,
For sure.
I rate it as a theory. That's a good one.
I didn't know about it.
Oh yeah,
Is that
neither did I
really a
until my
thing?
brain just.
Okay.
I just made it up.
I
I'm
don't
sorry.
know.
There's nothing else we can say. I think after there's no topping that. We'll next have you back, Hunaru, when we can provide a One Piece content analysis where you can analyze a
Oh,
replay
no.
alongside an episode of One Piece. Thank you
Oh,
so
no.
much for joining us on the podcast. I wish you the best of luck this weekend in your
Thank you so
quarterfinal
much.
against Amsterdam. Thank you.
Thank you so
Good
much.
luck.
Thank you.
That was Hunaru from ISCT IUL. I mean, having Portugal at that level of the competition and to have them represented by those guys, I mean, the thing that has to stick with us is scholarship does not mean any skill. that was so brutal.
Yeah.
that-
Sorry, Sako, you go.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say, usually people in this sort of environment, they have to briefly think of a way they're going to phrase something. Hunaru just came straight in like a steam train and just bashed straight through the question. Like, yeah, it doesn't mean a thing. Cheers. That's, yeah,
And
I love it.
I'm delighted to hear that they're getting support from a lot of Portuguese fans, Portuguese people coming out. You know, they have that one team. The one team is real, and they're getting all that support there.
I mean,
and
that's
it's
what you
really fun
need.
to say.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you need that to get the publicity out as well. I mean, big shout out to Mr. Crow, who's been representing AFCT for the longest time as well, monolith of the Portuguese scene, which the more it grows, the more we here, the UK, Germany, and Netherlands have got to worry. But speaking of fantastic guests, it's some big shoes to fill, and it's a tough act to follow for our upcoming guest, who had more questions than System and Hunaru combined aimed towards him, which when you realize he didn't make it to the UR main event, you have to wonder, why is that? How? And then you realize that it is Sushi from Warwick Williams Resolve. And we're just going to get the water under the bridge and let's talk about not qualifying for winter, Sushi. It's lovely for us to join us, lovely for you to join us, and I appreciate this. But let's get that part over and done with.
I mean, obviously, it seemed like most of the podcasts, apart from you, Talacto, didn't expect us to make it. We were hoping we'd make it, but in the first two qualifiers, we didn't put up results expected to how we wanted to do, as well as how we were seeded as well. In the fourth qualifier, something just clicked, and we were doing much better than we were wanting to, and then obviously we lost out to, I think, Engine Stuttgart it was, but I'm somewhat friends with Aki, so I'm really glad he's made it, and I'm glad to see him in the competition.
Yeah, I mean, Stuttgart, I think, did really well. So honestly, there was no shame really in missing out on that final call, because your form seems to have really upturned recently as well, and it's nice to see you clicking, as you said. I mean, even if it's not in time for the UR winter, ultimately winter is its own thing, but the Williams Resolve partnership, that is a thing all to do with you. It's part of you now as a team. Tell us at least what you're allowed to tell us about how that went down.
Okay, just give me 1 second.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
Oh,
He's a magician.
oh, look at those signatures. God damn.
Oh yeah, 100%. I've got Jeff, the
Is that
COO.
the Munster
It's months.
caster?
It is the
Oh
month.
my-
Oh,
Name Noah Saki, and there's Breezy with some weird ass handwriting, but
I was gonna say I'm flaming Munts for a pretentious signature next time I see him.
but yeah, so at the beginning of the season, like a couple months before Zouch was coming. We knew he was coming, and we realized that maybe on paper we weren't looking that great compared to the UK, or not the UK, the whole of Europe. I mean, with being like 1 or 2 series off in the LCQ in last EURC, or sorry, UR Spring, as it's now called.
Love that.
We realized that I think we just needed some coaching direction. We needed some sort of help to try and get our act together. Try to figure out, what we can do to become a world CRO Worlds team. And I realized that the society weren't going to be able to provide us with anything. So I had to do some exploring, and I reached out to Williams Resolve and I pitched the idea, and they absolutely loved it. And then a couple of weeks later, this happened. I mean, I had this jersey for ages, but the partnership definitely happened. Yeah.
That's incredible. Like, you made it happen. I just got a picture of you like rolling up like it's Dragon's Den or something. Like, that's fantastic. I mean, and the coaching as well. Tadpole's coaching you, is that correct?
Yeah. One of our main points, obviously last year when it was me, Treefork, and Warden, we had Timmer. I don't know if you remember him. We had
Tim.
Yes, Tim. Indeed. We had him in our VC just for vibes, and honestly, the environment was much nicer than it just being us three, because we had that fourth external perspective as well, and it was just chill, So we realized that if we can get something similar, maybe also rather than a more less of a mental coach than Tim was, but also more gameplay as well as mental, then we figured that we can able to do something. And we've been having coaching sessions with Tadpole. We've had him in comms, and it's all going very well.
Commonwealth gold medalist Tadpole, that is.
Yes.
Very important. Does he bring it up? Does he bring it up in coaching sessions?
Surprisingly, I don't think he has. I think he might have mentioned it once, just like, on the side,
Just to make sure just to double check that you knew about it and he didn't need to bring it up again.
Yeah. It was like listing one of his many, many achievements. Just list it up at some point.
According to Tree and Chat, he did last week. So there you go.
Yeah,
there's your own answer to that.
I had a feeling he did.
No, I've got to say though, I've taken quite a personal interest in what direction you would go down with the route of coaching and the likes as well. And I'm not sure I should be saying any specifics in terms of my DMs with Treefork, but he did sort of jump in there and say, so about coaching, tell me some stuff. And then I basically said, okay, it costs money. And then the fact that you guys have just gone out of your way and got a massive organisation behind you, you've picked up one of the greatest coaching minds, at least in my opinion, in our esports at the moment in Tadpole. I think he's genuinely a very, very smart player, a very smart man himself. The fact you've managed to get that all organised just out of your will to succeed as a team, I think is fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, I'd already had previous connections with Williams Resolve. I actually won this in one of their competitions they held at a high school LAN, and turns out one of the guys that was running the competition, it was like a speed rings map. Get the fastest time you get of Jersey, and I got the fastest time. And the person I was speaking to, the representative from Williams Resolve, was actually one of the persons who founded Warwick Esports.
Wow, this is a small world. What I'm hearing is it was all rigged from the first.
I was
going to
say
winning
the
winning the rings map as well. You didn't see the other contestants actually had no boost enabled. They were trying to jump from one to the other. It wasn't. This is what I'm hearing, at least personally. But that's okay. I wanted to talk about Zouch. I want to be honest, Sushi, because Zouch has always fascinated me as a player, at least with the history, if you can call it that, of Durham over the past 2-3 years and how much of a mainstay they've been in the UK and Europe. I mean, what was it like, given how long you knew he was going to be coming to the university for? Like, you ever go out of your way and like try and play with him beforehand, but also how he compares to the Wall of Walden as a player and as a person?
I think I had known Zouch was coming like a couple months before. And I'd obviously tried to get in some games with him, get some games as a 3. Obviously throw some subtle hints in the NSC or UR chat asking Zhao just to, what he thinks about his plans, which I'm sure you might have seen. But yeah, I absolutely love Zouch. He's got such a brilliant insight into the game, and whenever I play with him, I always feel like I'm learning more and more, and in turn, it's helping me develop to be a better player than I am. But compared to sorry, go on.
Carry on. I was just going to say, do you ever feel intimidated by his voice?
Oh, he's got kind of like a commanding voice. You want to listen to the voice. That's the kind of voice he's got. He's got like the typical audiobook voice. How should I say it?
The audiobook voice. I thought you were going to go with something a bit more threatening, like military commander or.
No. It's like it's a voice where you want to listen.
Stephen Fry, is it?
It's like a true bassy baritone. Honestly, if he ever retired from Rocket League, I completely agree, Sushi. You'd have a career in audiobooks.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah, it's just nice listening to him both because of his insights and his voice. Compared to Warden, he's obviously got a quite different playstyle. Obviously, Warden, the wall, he was quite defensive, and me and Treefork used to play around him, and it worked in the LCQ. We were just able to find a form there in LCQ. Unfortunately, couldn't make it to Worlds. I'm still reliving that Salford game 7-0 seconds. But yeah, it's just I definitely think Zouch will help us a lot, and obviously he has a more mechanical style, so we can maybe not have like a 2-man offensive rotation, with me and Treefork, and be even stronger.
That's good. Thank you. We have written down here on our notes actually that Psycho had a very nice non-toxic question, but I'm just going to skip that because I spotted the one that I wanted to ask, which was submitted directly to you, actually, Susie, by a player you may have heard of called JSW. But I read his question now, and it actually doesn't make any sense, so I've had to change it. It says, how do you feel about making Roehampton have to play the lower finals of Newell?
I wasn't. I mean, yeah, it feels amazing. We finally beat Roehampton, a team that hasn't dropped a series in NSE or Newell, and we're their first series drop. And I know Solo's going to come in chat saying, "Oh no, we beat them first. We're the only UK team to beat them first." And I'm just like, "No, Solo, it's a game. It was best of 3. You lost every time after that."
Is that best of 3? He's trying to count that. There's a man who plays for a team that doesn't exist anymore.
Yeah, he's trying to get that through before he retires. Well,
I mean, it's
important to note that we have a question from Solo as well already lined up and ready to go, which is, how does it feel to lose to UE considering we are bad and have a guy with a 700 peak and something as a coach? He was in your head, Sushi. He was so ready for you.
Life really does come full circle, doesn't it?
I mean, sure, their only win against Roehampton might have been a game 3, but yeah, they did sweep us, and I can only say well played, to be honest. We weren't playing well, and you guys took very good advantage of that. And yeah, there's nothing more to say except GG, well played.
That was far too wholesome. I wanted you to say you just got in from a really bad day. They played rubbish. We played worse.
He went there. Can we even air that? Do we have to get that taken down? I had to delete the VOD after he just said that. Oh my goodness. Why would you do that?
I don't know if anyone noticed Tunaru's jumper the entire way through that interview. If anything, he's going to get taken down.
It's okay. Talking about specific series, Sigmoid wanted to know, Sushi, what the secret is to sweeping UEA, but also why you think they're actually really performing on the European stage.
Well, I think it's somewhat similar to what Hunuru was saying earlier, in that they have quite a basic but very solid playstyle. In that they can easily, if you do a mistake, they can easily counter it. And don't get me wrong, they are very good at doing that. But I feel like maybe the pressure of the Swiss caused some teams to crumble in that way, to losing to UEA. And to be fair, hats off to them to make top 8. But at the same time, we did beat them 4-0. So does that mean we're top 8? Yay? No?
I mean, we're looking towards spring already. I don't know. This is it says people don't ever know what to expect out of UEA. What they don't respect is how you have even less idea which Warwick is going to show up sometimes. But I assume that's something you know more than we do now.
Yeah, I mean, we've had ups and downs. I think with UEA myself, I've got a tied record. I think there was one point where I couldn't play one week and Jelly subbed in for me, and I don't know how they managed to they managed to beat UEA with Jelly instead of me. But yeah, they're very good. We lost to them the day after we swept them, and yeah, that's what caused us to, I guess, not make NSC top 8, and that was kind of sad. But
yeah, I'm gonna skip over NSC top 8. I don't know about you guys, Nura and Psycho.
That's okay.
Ollie wanted us to ask about that, but I'm not gonna bother.
He did phrase it specifically so that we'd have to bring up Cardiff, and like, is that anything any of us want to do?
Not really, no.
No. I would happily discuss Southampton's saver menu, but it is now not the time nor the place, sadly. So, yeah. So, Sushi, I did have a question, which was going to be very wholesome, and it was going to be very lovely. And then Steve just stuck a dagger in my heart, and he moved on as if I didn't even ask anything. So I was going to ask, how does high school Carball compare to uni Carball? That was the very blunt way I phrased the first part. And also, what sort of has been your biggest Rocket League achievement across the journey? Because obviously, when you started getting good at the game, that was obviously when you were in high school, still secondary school even, and making moves from there. So how does it compare?
I mean, the first time I noticed Scholar Rocket League was, I think, after my GCSEs. I was just playing Rocket League, nothing much to do, watching random Twitch clips, and I came across I think it was Oxford playing somebody, and I was like, wait, hold up, if there's a university scene, maybe there's a high school scene, right? So I did some digging, found out there was a high school scene. I was already friends with one of the people in my high school team, and I thought, yeah, I'll bring this up to my computer science teacher, who I knew was very much into esports, and he was like, yeah, sounds like a great idea, let's do it. And that's basically how it started. So once again, me trying to take initiative to get something going. And I can't lie, I've had a lot of fun in the high school scene, both in the high school and the uni scene. I mean, making LAN in the high school scene was so great, and being able to go to LAN again for Newell kind of reminds me of the great time I had back in the school scene.
Yeah, that's fair enough, and I think in terms of your focus, I think it's definitely been sort of on the high school scene and on your graduation through to the uni scene as well. That has been where most of your achievements will have lied as a result of that focus. And I was wondering, was that result in your potentially in your mind your biggest achievement to date?
I definitely think so. Yeah. I mean, the uni scene is a lot harder. Before coming to uni, I knew I was going to end up getting teamed with Treefork and Walden, and I think I predicted myself to maybe make top 8 at worst, but at worst I got top 4, which was much better than I thought we'd do. So I was definitely happy to keep that kind of level of consistency going, and being able to finally play on LAN again means that I'm back to my winning days, where because back in the high school scene I was arguably I was part of the best team in the country, so we were winning everything until the last 2 tournaments where we came 2nd and 4th. So that was that, and I was quite happy to keep my top 4 national streak going until NSC this year, where
that's just a very strong streak, really.
Yeah.
It's impressive. You mentioned your teammates. I noticed we had one question, at least my personal final question, from Treefork. You may know him, who asked, what is your brief, honest opinion on all your teammates throughout playing school leagues on and off the pitch, and why is Awesome64 in the top 7? Don't hold back.
I guess in terms of I won't be rating them in terms of how good they are at the game, because I don't think that's relevant at all. They're both different scenes, and both different vibes. But I can definitely say right now, I've had so much more fun playing in the high school scene than I currently have in the uni scene. And it's not because I don't like the players. Don't get me wrong. I love Treeful, Zouch, and Warden, and whoever else I've played with. I don't think I've played with anyone else apart from. Oh yeah, Jelly, of course. How can I forget Jelly? Yeah, I absolutely love them. But back in the high school, it was kind of different. As I said, after GCSEs, I thought about making a team. One of my ex teammates, Tommy, I had already known him for like maybe 4 years before that, 4 or 5 years before that, and in fact, I was the reason he got into the game, into playing Rocket League. So when I first formed the team, I knew that I would be able to play with Tommy. This was back when I was like champ, the pinnacle of the high school scene.
When you were at your peak, yeah.
Why do I come here? Why did I agree to come here?
we all peaked in high school, right? This is a safe space. We can admit it. It's all been downhill since we left.
It's true. Really.
Yeah,
I Teletubby outfit.
I'd actually known him for quite a while before then, and I knew that maybe we could have a strong team, but our next third would have been like plat, so I wasn't looking too keen. And so one day I just what do you call it? I put on my Instagram story, hey, if you're at my high school or sixth form and you play Rocket League, send in your rank. And Awesome, who was my teammate, replies to the message. And actually, he was just sitting across in the room from me as he responded to that message. He responded, "Oh, he was champ too." I was like, "Wait, what? Really? Brilliant! Let's go." So that's how the team formed, and it worked really well because obviously I was friends with Tommy and Awesome. Me and him did exactly the same A-level subjects. So throughout this whole 2 years, we were basically in the same. We spent a lot of time together. And it would sometimes be like, we're just doing homework, and then afterwards it'd be like, yes, are you ready for your match today?
Nah, you're right. That actually doesn't get better than that. I feel like having also had the fun of like trying to have my friends play Rocket League in sixth form, and then them just playing it for 2 weeks and having a crazy 2 weeks where it's like you see them, you go home, you play Rocket League, you see them, then they dropped out and just carried on playing FIFA, and it was like, sad. But you had the dream. So I'm happy for you.
Yeah, we got very lucky with with our team and was able to win quite a bit of stuff, and I'm just glad that I got to experience that. Obviously, coming to university, Treeful, Warden, they both did maths. I was doing maths technically because I do maths and computer science called discrete maths. But they weren't in the same year. They didn't really share any classes with me. But yeah, I definitely enjoyed that high school scene as well, but I'd say both of them are pretty damn good.
All right. I mean, I personally think that's a very happy or good vibes note to end on. I don't know if you've got anything bad to bring us down from there, Nua or Psycho. I'm happy to end on a low note as well, but
I think this is where Sushi tells us his favorite crisp, and it's something that deeply upsets us all.
Oh yes, all right.
Your favorite crisp.
It's the day of reckoning, Sushi.
This is where it comes to.
Okay. Doritos chili heatwave.
It's
standard
option. It's a
standard
option. Honestly,
not bad.
You can't go wrong. 100%.
That is fantastic.
Sour cream dip or like?
No, you don't need it.
You don't need it. Just
like,
by
good.
itself. It's
like
just
you don't need it, but
class.
like I don't need the sun. It's just really good for me.
You do need the sun.
Wait, what?
Newer.
I don't need the. I'm sure some people do. I don't know. Have you seen like? I don't need the sun.
Ladies and gentlemen, this has been Sushi. We have a bit of an issue to sort out here. I'm sorry,
without
Sushi.
it for years.
We've got some misunderstanding here with Nua.
This is where Nua says, "I once saw a woman."
I once saw a man.
Yeah, I have not once seen a woman. All right, you take that back.
I think you're lying to me, Nua. You're a liar.
No. Yeah, probably. Oh.
We will see Warwick in the spring split stronger than ever. And you're damn right, they will make it to spring, because if they somehow don't, we will all be hearing about it. And worryingly, Warwick would probably hear the most about it. That won't happen, Sushi. And I want to give you nightmares. I am looking forward to spring just as much as you are. As ahead as this weekend, as you go out the door, what are your predictions for playoffs?
What are my predictions for playoffs? Oh, okay. I've got the playoffs up. Do you want me to do a specific prediction
Speed
or
run.
just speed run? Okay.
Bish bash bosh.
Hamburg 4-3 Kiel. Berlin 4-2 UEA. Amsterdam 4-1 ISCTE. IUL, sorry. And you know what? I rate system 4-1 to Dr. Berman. And then Hamburg gonna go 4-2 against Berlin. And Dr. Berman are gonna go 4-1 against Amsterdam. I think Dr. Berman might be able to bring in Zedo and Sido. They're looking really strong. And then obviously Hamburg are gonna win. And you know what?
Okay.
Let's make it a nice series for the stream. 4-3 Hamburg.
I think Game 7 final, you've blessed us there, Sushi. We'll take that as a clip, and we'll see if and when you're better than all of our analyst predictions at the weekend. Thank you for joining us. It's been lovely having you on the podcast, and we look forward to hopefully having you on another time in the future.
Thank you very much for having me.
That was Sushi. I would want to evaluate that. I think we already knew beforehand Sushi is lovely. We kind of want to speed run, guys, if I'm not mistaken, in terms of time, because we've got the worst goal of the week segment.
Oh, yes.
And this is one of the most exciting things I've got. So I went back through the VODs of both my own and, of course, the main streams for past weekend. I got 22 clips of goals that I thought were... Yeah, maybe they probably shouldn't have been conceded. What we need is you in chat to help us out as well, is on a UEA-ometer from 0 to 10, where say like 1, the goal is just a minor mishap, it's not that terrible, whereas 10 would be like UEA's own goal against TUD. We're going to rate the goals out of 10 on how bad they were. There's 22. We're going to play the tape, and we're just going to roll from one to the other. So if you're ready, producer Finchy, we go with clip 1. Yes,
10 is the worst. 10 is the worst.
10 is the worst.
10 is diabolical. That's UEA.
Excellent.
You might notice a few teams that appear more often than this. So I'll try and point out as the clips appear about, therefore, which game it was from, because hopefully they'll be on the overlay that'll help. The mainstream had overlays that will help us, and this was from the mainstream. It was from Twente against Aalborg. A miss on the backboard, and then
stinker.
A bit of a P-roller of a shot. I don't know, for me, it's not a disaster class. For me, that's like a 5.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's a pretty solid baseline, right? Like that's a decent one to give a 5 to me, and then like move from there. Also, I just sent my message in chat. No, I didn't.
Kiel against Kit. It's downfield. Dooz has made the touch. It's cleared back down, and
oh dear. Oh no. Oh dear. He's gone on his summer holidays. K3.
He's done it again.
He's never coming back.
That's worse, man. I'm putting that a 6.
That's a 6.
I'm gonna stop saying mine out loud so that we get some element of mystery.
Oh, I'm just gonna go straight in there and shout it out.
Oh, this one.
I didn't really catch that one. Hopefully the replay
Kiel
shows
conceding
me.
Again. They try and win the series and then get a counter-attacked onto an open net, then have to go to Game 5 against Exeter, which again, they only won just about.
More forgivable.
Trying to win the series.
Okay.
Clowns.
Oh no!
This was Matei, one of the MVPs of last season.
That's a 10. That is a 10.
Oh my goodness.
It's beautiful.
I've seen European Collegiate Rocket League. It gets worse than that.
It's more. This one was an own goal. I can't get over this one. Oh, it was fantastic.
Okay.
I remember this goal. The demo. It was really
for the sake of UEA, that is a 9.
Dude, this Kit Twente series just delivered in awful goals. Like,
good finish. Good finish. Right, let's watch this one again. So Daniel,
4 whiffs.
UEA would be very proud. That's a 9.
Can't let NA see this. They will never forgive us. I mean, it is really poor. Oh, this was JSW's incident against Hamburg.
Forgivable. Forgivable.
Yeah. This ended up being a very uncompetitive series, but I do think we have all been there.
Yeah. He just missed.
Every time
and then he flooped.
Yeah.
It's a 2.
Oh, This one was from one of our series on the B stream, so I can remember a few
I'm
very
so
scuffed
excited.
moments.
Oh, there we
UEA
go.
appear. It's a UEA goal. What can we say?
Len
Just to
Goodman would
force
be
a game
proud
5.
of my 7.
Ant-Man's been at that for some time. But it's UEA again in the same series against Hanover with Sai,
Oh, that was a
apparently the most
stinker.
mechanically gifted player according to his teammate. I don't know what this was.
He's just been confused by Glad Mackers.
He could have just backflipped and the ball would have gone in
I
the
don't even
corner.
know, man. And they won the game with that. They won that overtime, and they ended up winning that series because of that. Like, I don't even understand. This was a bit of a defensive miscommunication, I think, to say the least.
It comes down to how punishing are we of like team mistakes individually versus how much we care about individual hands just not working, you know? Because that was
true. I mean-
definitely a team problem.
Oh dear.
That's a
backflipped.
clear hand problem. That's a hand problem if I've ever seen one.
That's not a skill problem.
What is
That's
this
a hand
backflip?
problem.
I don't understand. What are you doing? They're 3-0 down inside 70 seconds there. That's IUL, our unbeaten team in the main event. Like, yeah. I mean, Roehampton had to score somehow. Amsterdam was not their finest day on the weekend. This was just a marquee goal to concede here. I mean, it's the fact that 2 of them go. I don't even...
Yeah. Honestly, it's a team and a hand issue there.
Oh, this bounce. We were referring. What do we call this, Psycho? On broadcast, actually.
Oh, this is a classic moment from the skirting board, aka the bowl lip. Look at that.
And that was Yotam as well, and he's been having some blinder performances from Roehampton recently, which is just really, it's really not his finest moment. Speaking of
this one I
incredible
loved.
performers,
This one I
Barist,
loved.
he's been incredible, but I don't know what he was doing.
I think I referred to him in this exact moment as a shock absorber, and I think that's still accurate to this day.
He's one of the best players in the tournament, undoubtedly, and he's putting up a defensive showing like that. Speak of Genoa, man. There's 2 players pre-jumping to block this shot. It's not that bad, but it is really beautiful how this goes in.
Yeah. I think you
The
called that a
bump.
rocket of a finish or something, and it just. And then I looked at the replay, and it was about 10 kilometers per hour. Solid 4.
Oh, this was how do you remember? Oh, it was just a whiff into an open net. You know, I thought this might have been a DC, but no, at the time it looked like that. But it's just when you give up on life because you know it's in.
I loved how traumatized you were. Just in case he had DC'd, you had to double check. You're like, and there's a car that's not moving. I'm gonna have to check. Oh no, he's just an idiot. Don't worry.
He just didn't rotate that. Oh no!
10.
This was a really bad moment in history.
In the best of UEA traditions as well, it takes so many ricochets on its way in there, and it travels so far to get where it went.
What the worst is about how similar that is for Mel. Also, this was a team own goal pass to lose the series from Nijmegen Nimmer. This is a meltdown in the corner. What is this? Like,
That is a Barrow, and the Barrow wasn't supposed to be there. That's rough.
Yep.
This is the same series, but I think earlier on in that, and there was just some. Game 1 was just full of shocking goals. I was spoilt for choice. Like, I mean, it's a decent pass there, I guess.
This isn't the game that they said they warmed up game 1 in. This wasn't it? No. Which Doran series was that? There's too many Doran series.
They
for
were
AUL.
talking about against Boxfish, I think, their third game. Because they had
this
to
one
wait
was
for that.
okay. That one's all right. It was
Yeah.
a good shot.
It's a nice little double.
Although Hunaru is an absolute pillock, but that, yeah, 2. We'll let it slide.
Oh, it's UEA in against Amsterdam. Oh, this is back post rotation demonstration from Amsterdam. For those of you who don't know it, they just aborted and left. I'm not sure what's going on here, but they do just leave.
Yeah.
Like, he won't score. Ant-Man doesn't score these.
I think it's actually maybe our last clip before we figure out which one has our highest average. It literally just it was just a kickoff goal. It was a pretty bad kickoff goal for Amsterdam standards, mind you.
Yeah, but like,
Cass
compared
is
to
just
some of the others on this. Yeah, but like,
I do like the fact that Cass wasn't close though, so that's going to add a couple points.
It does make it much funnier, but like the decision making is still like, I'm not going to get to cover the goal in time. I may as well commit.
Yeah.
But it is made much funnier by the fact that there's like never, ever touching that ball. There's no universe they get there.
Yeah. Oh, we've got, ironically enough, in typical kids' TV program fashion, it's actually a tie we've got here to round out this episode, because we're just going to skip playoff predictions because you'll see them this weekend anyway. 2 of our goals received a 9.33 average, guys. It was clips number 6 and clips number 18. I don't know if we can look at them one more time and decide an eventual, like, overall winner for worst goal of the week, because I'd love it if we could continue this. So here is the first clip, clip number 6. Let's say this is now clip A. Do you think it's clip A here? This was.
Oh my!
I mean, this is really a howler.
It's really good. It's hard to beat. It's hard to beat.
Count the cars that missed.
Like,
1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Give it a second. 4,
A.
5.
It's
5.
up against clip number B here. And this was the Nijmegen to lose the series. Nijmegen Nimmer, when they team pass it to an open net to lose the series. I mean, what do you think?
Vero, no.
I mean, I'm kind of torn, because in terms of context, I think B is worse, but we are looking for the worst goal of the week.
It's the Barrow bunny hop into it. Like, he bunny hops to make that contact as clean as possible to pass it into the middle.
Yeah.
And it's also SK saying nah and instantly leaving the match. I think that adds just a little bit to push it over.
I mean, I think we have a winner. I think we still like clip number A. Like, I think that Twente kick goal. If we're looking like the worst goal, that was shocking. We export that and say this is European University Rocket League. No one's ever going to watch us again. Like, or maybe they would. Honestly, that was pretty entertaining as far as I'm concerned. Hopefully, this episode has been entertaining. I don't know about you guys. I want to thank you again, Psycho, for stepping in at last minute's notice. For those of you in chat, you already knew this, but KJ is a disappointment, but hopefully we will be seeing him again. We will have another episode next week. Will it be Monday? Will it be Wednesday? Guess, because we don't know yet either, but we will see you on that day when it is, of course, after the main event, the playoffs this weekend. We'll see you there. Thank you for joining us this evening, and we hope you enjoyed.